Information has real-life consequences. When it's accurate, it can be a lifesaver, peacemaker. And when it's the opposite, catastrophe.
That regime pledged to reveal and destroy all its weapons of mass destruction.
Unsteady efforts to develop weapons of mass destruction.
There are prohibited weapons, weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Bottom line, there were no weapons of mass destruction.
We did not find stocks of either chemical or biological weapons.
But it's not just political figures who bear the responsibility, because spreading deceptive information isn't something they can do alone. That's where collective mass media bias comes in. This is not a myth or conspiracy. American General David Petraeus even admitted, saying the Afghanistan invasion was mainly a war of perception conducted continuously using the news media. As a result, many mainstream media reporters jumped on the bandwagon, spreading baseless claims and choosing sensationalism over truthful reporting for complementary frontline access.
Should they, use a Moab, the mother of all bombs, and a few daisy cutters, and, let's not just stop at a couple of cruise missiles.
I've fallen almost in love with the F-18 Super Hornet because it's quite a versatile plane.
If anyone questioned it, they were often shoved to the sidelines or lost their jobs. This isn't just history. We are seeing similar pattern right now in Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Babies. Their heads cut off. That's what they said.
Do you care about the babies that were beheaded?
No,
the babies
they were never beheaded. That was a made-up story.
How do you
not
know?
true? It's show me the pictures now.
If the international media is objective, it serves Hamas. If it just shows both sides, it serves Hamas.
Reporters questioning the unverified claims are losing their jobs.
The following monologue is something that I wrote, delivered, and recorded at The Hill. It was then censored, and I was then canceled and fired.
Local Palestinian journalists are deliberately being targeted.
And on Saturday, Israel leveled a 12-story building housing the offices of Associated Press, Al Jazeera, and other media outlets. Earlier today, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken said he has not seen any Israeli evidence of Hamas operating in the building.
Media entities that don't align with the certain narrative are collectively discredited. Criticize the blockade of Gaza, and you're labeled as a Hamas supporter. Show support for Palestine or display its flag, your career might be at risk. And while this goes on, certain mainstream media often looks other way when figures supporting Israel publicly call for an all-out war or complete eradication of Gaza on live TV without mentioning Palestinians even once.
I don't think there's any way Israel can be expected to coexist or find some diplomatic off-ramp with these savages.
And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them.
We're in a religious war here. I am with Israel. Do whatever the hell you have to do to defend yourself. Level the place.
They have dealt with this literally for years, where they're constantly trying to kill Israelis. They need to eliminate them. Then they can figure out what to do with the land, and then figure out what to do with the land.
But for Palestinians, this isn't new. It's been going on for a long time, and it's more than just Hamas' recent attack on Israel. As Maryam Barghouti, a Palestinian-American writer based in Ramallah, once pointed out, the mainstream media focus is always on Palestinian reaction, not on Israeli action. And it insinuates that Palestinians are on the offense when in fact they're on the defense. That is right. And the media often use softer words for Israel's harsh actions. It is always complicated when explaining Israelis illegally annexing Palestinian lands. It is tension when the Israeli military storms into a mosque and beats Palestinian worshippers inside.
This was at the Damascus Gate into Jerusalem's Old City. Egypt blames heavy-handed Israeli pressure in Jerusalem for what it calls Palestinian retaliation.
It is violent clashes if Palestinians defend themselves in response.
Tonight, a frenzy of violence at one of Jerusalem's holiest sites, threatening to ignite the region. The violence, a grim start to Passover, the major Jewish holiday which will last for the next 8 days.
Illegal settlements are neighborhoods, and that the West Bank is not occupied, but contested. Palestinians with Israeli citizenship are Israeli Arabs. It is terrorism when Palestinians throw Molotov cocktail at IDF soldiers. But dispute if Israeli settlers attack Palestinian farmers and confiscate their belongings. Palestinians never get killed. They simply die or receive bullets. And Gaza is portrayed as its own sovereign entity, not a besieged Palestinian city. And here's the kicker. When you look at the war in Ukraine, the language of the same media outlets completely flips. It's a complete 180 from the language used in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, Russia is clearly the aggressor, and it is rock-solid invasion. And Ukrainians who defend themselves are bravely resisting, as any person would if their home were to be invaded. It's a war crime when Russian planes bomb Ukrainian civilians. Crimea is an illegally annexed peninsula, not disputed. And when Russian civilians get killed by Ukrainians, well, it's a war Russia started.
War crimes, targeted attacks on civilian infrastructure with a clear aim to cut off men, women, children of water, electricity and heating. With the winter coming, these are acts of pure terror.
This stark contrast in language is one of the key factors fueling the Israeli-Palestinian conflict for years. Because words do matter, especially when they're read by millions worldwide. Yet, what we witness is another effort to conceal the whole story by using particular words like labeling the attack unprovoked, which in reality isn't the full story.
This is a horrific attack. It's unprovoked.
The United States unequivocally condemns the unprovoked attacks by Hamas.
Unprovoked attack.
My thoughts were that we need to support Israel. No ands, ifs, or buts. This was an unprovoked attack.
This word overlooks a deeply rooted conflict, such as Israel's long-time occupation, constant discrimination, and inhumane policies against Palestinians. Not making an excuse for harming innocent people, but it's crucial to look at everything. According to United Nations figures, 6,407 Palestinian people killed by Israel, while this number on the Israeli side was 308 since 2008. Gaza was subjected to weeks-long brutal military operations in 2008, 2011, 2014, and 2021, resulting in the deterioration of life conditions, infrastructure, and countless civilian casualties. But much like in the post-9/11, it appears that we are now in an era where these facts don't matter as much. An era, anger and emotional reactions are taking the front seat over reason. An era Michael Neiman, an American journalism and media studies professor, had previously warned us about.
It's really an appeal to emotions, not reason. Because if we're operating with reason, if we're thinking about reason, and suddenly people have memory. Wait a second, right? This was about weapons of mass destruction, but immediate threat to the United States had nothing to do with liberating Iraq from Saddam Hussein that we supported up until, the first Gulf War. It's all an appeal to emotion. This is the language of fascism. Language that appeals to our emotions, as opposed to appealing to our reason. Our media is censored. Is the government censoring it? No. It's self-censorship.